Good morning and welcome to the latest in our In Conversation series. I'm Sarah Austin, and for everyone tuning in and has been following this series of conversation and interviews that we've done, this is all about shining the spotlight on different entrepreneurs, business owners, leading experts, and finding out who they are, what behind their business, some of the things they've learnt along the way, some of their insights and learnings. And these have been fascinating journeys, just sort of getting under the bonnet, as it were, of aha. Jenny, good morning. Hadn't even had a chance to even say who I was introducing today. So for everyone watching, this is Jenny Eastwood, co-founder of the parent team. Jenny, do you want to just sort of say hello?
Good morning. Welcome to everyone who's joining us for this morning's live to hear about what the parent team's up to and some tips on some parenting skills to make life a little bit easier.
Brilliant. And so I can see we've got a lot of people joining. So thank you very much to everyone. I mean, anyone that is a parent, has brought up children, bringing up children as we speak, we all know that it's a journey. You know, love that word, journey. And I think we're all open to advice, help along the way, and those journeys are never straight lines. So thank you for joining us, Jenny, but also thank you to our audience as well, because this is your chance to put the spotlight literally on Jenny and to ask her any question that you may have. And I bet you she can answer it. Cumulatively with her team, I think they've got something like 40 years of experience of doing this stuff. So I think you're fairly safe to know that we are in the hands of experts, and so you can go ahead and ask your questions. But let's just begin by shining the spotlight on you, Jenny, and you tell us a bit about you, your background, and the inspiration behind the parent team.
Okay. Well, I have a psychology background and with a specialization in child development. Although I have to admit, I then went off and had a different career in finance. But then a little bit later in life, I ended up with 4 children. And because I started a little bit late, they're very close in age. So now they're aged 11 to 16, and I've got 3 girls and a boy. And when they were all born in very close proximity, I was actually living abroad. So I found the parenting situation really challenging. They were born, my first 2 were born in Japan, and there was no English manual provided when they were born, and I didn't have my family around me. So I quickly realized I really needed support. And at that time, that came from my friends, but they had young children and they didn't really know anything more than I did. So what I did is when I came back and lived in the UK, I signed up for parenting classes. And that really gave me some brilliant tips that revolutionized our family life and kind of gave me a toolkit as a parent. So I was so inspired that I went back to my psychology roots and I retrained. And for the last 10 years, I worked for another positive parenting company. And then when COVID happened, myself and 3 of my colleagues from this company decided that we wanted to do things our own way and build our own business. So we took the leap to start the parent team. And, you know, we are just absolutely passionate at helping as many parents as possible to bring out the best in their children and enjoy being a parent, enjoy family life, not have it something that's a total struggle that they can't wait to be finished with. So that's our mission, helping families and children thrive.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that. What's so interesting, just listening to you talk, is just the journeys that we've heard. I mean, I think you are my 35th interviewee, and I'm loving this series because this is all about understanding people's journeys, and often the journey can be every bit as interesting as the destination, as it were. And I think, you know, that story there what you shared about reinvention, retraining will really resonate with other people out there where, you know, you'd been a psychologist, you had this career in finance, and then actually something awakened in you that means that now you are absolutely in your sweet spot, as it were. You're in the place that you want to be. And but that sense of sort of reinvention, I think is really important, and how particularly I think as women, we go through these different chapters in our lives. And so I feel there will be a lot of resonance with our listeners here who may be thinking, well, actually, that's resonating with me. That's what I'd like to follow that route. Or actually, I've got some burning passion inside me. I'd like to follow that. So thank you for sharing that. And so tell us, let's sort of go under the bonnet a bit more of the parent team about, the services you provide. What is it? Who's it aimed at? And what makes it different?
Okay, so I think maybe what makes us, the parent team, slightly different, is that when you look at the market for the services we provide, they're often done by sole operators. So, one person, and that one person is often very good, but there's 4 of us. So there's, as you mentioned earlier, we've got 40 years experience between us, and we've worked together for 10 years. And there's a lot of expertise. So because I've got 3 girls, I've got a real passion for girls. Don't tell my son that, by the way. And because they're all teenagers, I love the teenage years. I love all the years, actually. My co-founder and colleague Juliet has boys, so she's really focused. She has a lot of focus on boys. Juliet is Senko, so looks at a lot of neurodiversity, and Anne is based in New York, so that gives us bit more global presence. And actually Hannah has a single child, and that's quite interesting because it's a very different dynamic with a single child versus multiple children. So we feel that people come to us and say, I've got this issue, and we might say, well, Juliet fits that best, or actually I think Jenny would be the person to talk to. Actually really need to talk to Victoria, our Senko expert. So I think that's unusual. I think, we're talking live, which is wonderful. But I think a lot of people now, they pre-record material and you pay for it and you download it. And that absolutely has a place. But we think that, live teaching, whether it's via Zoom or we're restarting some in-person teaching, there's a real place for that, because I think parents often feel a bit confused, a bit lonely. They're the only ones struggling with these issues. So getting together as a group where you can ask questions in real time, when other parents can step in and say, oh, we had that issue, this is what we did that worked, is very powerful, and it enables us to stay very update. So for instance, yesterday, the UK's Child Commissioner issued a very big report, and they talked to over 500,000 children in the UK. That's 6% of the entire UK child population, and they've come out with some very interesting results. And I will be bringing that up into my teen workshop, which is next week, because in particular, it's our 16, 17-year-old girls who are really struggling at the moment. 2 in 5 are very unhappy. And the other thing that's quite interesting about that report is that actually most 6 to 8-year-olds, they are pretty happy. They're pretty happy with home life. They're pretty happy with school. So the change is happening, kind of 9 onwards. And unhappiness at home increases quite a bit, and unhappiness at school increases quite a bit. So, I'll be bringing this information into next week's workshop, and you can't do that if you record, and it's just something that is downloadable. And I don't know about you, but I have a really busy life with a business and 4 children, and so sometimes I do download things with best intentions, and then I never quite watch them. So whereas sometimes if I've got a date and a time and a diary where I have to turn up live, I kind of feel beholden to do so, even when I'm busy. And then it's always really enjoyable. I really enjoy the interaction. And again, there's some great research that shows that when you do things live, it fires different bits of your brain. So human beings learn socially. So I think that research, coupled with enjoyment, coupled with stickability, makes the live work, even if it's via Zoom, really powerful.
That is really interesting. So combination, I think, which is incredibly powerful. So thank you for that. And actually, a lot of what you were saying there was resonating with so many of the values behind Really Help the Club. We're all about shared experiences, and what you were talking about, is that shared experience of your team, what they bring, as experts, but also what other people bring in attending one of your workshops too. Whereas that's almost like a problem shared is sometimes a problem halved, or at least, or could be solved. And so I think that sort of synergy with shared experiences is incredibly important. And what we get with you is that, that sort of hotline, but straight into, that expert resource, which is so important, and the valuable connection, that comes around from it, as you rightly point out. So, so obviously, I mean, you've launched this year. So congratulations for launching a business during COVID, in a pretty tough environment, to put it mildly. This is, you talk about how it's evolved already in the course of the few months that you've been active.
Well, probably, I think we'd probably use the word emerged rather than evolved. I mean, COVID was kind of, actually with COVID was actually a fantastic time to start a business on the basis that we couldn't go anywhere, we couldn't do anything. So we could really throw ourselves into it. I have to say, so our business model is we do 6-week parenting classes. They're Zoom at the moment, and you learn a different skill every week for 6 weeks, and that provides you your toolkit. And then we also do workshops, and some people have done the 6 weeks course and say, now I want to dig a bit deeper. I want to know a bit more about girls, or a bit more about anxiety, or a bit more about keeping calm. And for some people, they start with workshops. So, and in those workshops, you get some bite-sized skills. And we've been into a few schools, we've done some corporates, we've done some nurseries, and we do quite a lot of private sessions for people who have what they're really struggling with, and they need some quite specific help straight away. We've had some really loyal clients because we've been working for a long time already. A lot of people know us, and they've used a lot of word of mouth to tell their friends about us. So. So we kind of we feel that we've quite quickly put together a good product offering. We've got I hope people will like our website. We spent a lot of time thinking about our branding and our colors and our logo to make it cheerful and warm and inviting. And now our product range is well established. So really our job now is to go out and go and talk to more schools and nurseries, just really increase the number of people that know about us.
Super, thank you. So, well, look, if you are a parent with a child in a school, or you in a nursery, or perhaps you own a nursery, or you've got any connections in schools, and if what Jenny and her team at parent team are talking about is resonating with you, then please, you know how to get in touch with her. And we will share this recording onto our IG Live channel, and also onto other channels as well. So, if anyone watching, you will be able to catch up on this, and also to share it with people later. What was really interesting, just want to pick up on, something you were talking about just earlier, was, the challenges that we've gone through this year, both as business owners, as parents, and then homing in on that, that rather sort of eye-startling statistic of 2 in 5 girls aged 16 to 17 who are really struggling. Maybe you can talk about some of your own learnings, but also some of the worries and concerns that that parents are coming to you with. The sort of issues that have come to your attention in this last year.
Yes. So, well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because the COVID, it's quite clear that a large proportion of children had quite a challenging time. I think they really missed school, and older teenagers, their job is to start separating from family. So it's all about their friends, it's all about independence, and that wasn't available. So that was really tough. And funny enough, the joys of digital, because we are happily chatting on Instagram Live and getting to a big audience, which is wonderful. But social media can be tricky for children, particularly girls. So hence the statistics, 2 out of 5 girls are really struggling with their mental health. So, and of course, when you can't go out and meet your friends in a cafe or a park, you spent a lot more time on digital. Funnily enough, I don't think children are that worried about, particularly not the younger children. They're not worried about the academics. The parents are worried about the academics, but not so much the children. And there's some children who really liked having the lockdown. So children who are more introverted, children who have higher anxiety, children who perhaps don't get to spend that much time with their families because everyone's got a busy job. You know, some children and parents have absolutely thrived in lockdown. So it's definitely not a one size fits all. But I think when you get, what's quite clear with children is, particularly younger children, you know, they don't really see the bigger picture. So will your late teens are worrying about what's going to happen to my A levels? Will I be able to get a job at the end of it? Your kind of pre-teens, they're not focusing on that. But what they are doing is picking up the stress of their parents. So if mum and dad are having a really stressful time, then that soaks through to them. And then that's stress soaks through to a child. So then you always see it in their behavior, because a child can't say, you know, I'm not feeling so good. I think it's, you know, I'm worried about X and Y. What happens with the child is they just hit a sibling, or they just won't cooperate, or they're just really rude to you as the parent. And of course, if a parent's already stressed about external factors, they have less resilience to know how to handle that behavior in a calm, kind of empathetic way. So you get into this quite negative cycle. So I think our job now that, you know, life has normalized a bit is to really help people who feel like they've got onto a negative cycle back into a positive cycle. And, you know, there are some really straightforward, not difficult skills that get you back on this positive cycle. And that's what I love about our work. It's not rocket science. It's not difficult to put into play, but it has a massive difference. And when you get into a positive cycle at home, and you're using, you know, looking for the good in your child, you're being able to empathize when they're struggling emotionally, when you plan forward a bit so life isn't too stressful. The lovely thing is it releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical, in your child's brain, but it releases dopamine in the parent's brain. So you both get a hit of the feel-good chemical. And you know, that's what drives us in life, feeling good, feeling happy, feeling supported, feeling loved and nourished. And a few easy parenting tools can get that going pretty quickly.
Gosh, I am writing down so much from that. Thank you. I'm sure everyone else is doing that at home as well. I could feel myself feeling happier as you were talking through the toolkit. So sign me up, I'm in. And but it's so true. And it was interesting. We chatted to Arabella Davis from Their Best Years last week. Arabella runs an outstanding educational consultancy, and again, the messaging coming from her was very similar. And you know, it's again, if you can give people the toolkit and to take the stress away from parenting, from the decision making, from the journey, the release of happiness, it allows you to enjoy that journey. And as you say, the sort of the difference between the enjoyment and the stress is enormous, but the toolkit is so simple to get there if you can just access the toolkit.
Yeah, that's right. And we teach a lot about the brain, so people can really understand a child's brain development, but their brain, what's going on in the adult's brain that's causing them to behave in a certain way. And we do a lot of work on what's developmentally normal, because so many times parents will come and say, you know, my 7-year-old is hitting, and I'll say, yes, that's absolutely not, and not to be stereotypical, but quite often it's boys a little bit more physical, you know, and a girl might be able to use a word, and they say, my 7-year-old boy is hitting, and I say, oh yes, you know, that's pretty, it's not abnormal at all. And they go, oh, phew. So, and when you explain what's developmentally normal, that actually lying can be a sign of advanced brain wiring, and that, you know, teenagers can't read facial expressions well. So 50% of the time they think you're angry when you're not at all angry. You know, those little nuggets can really, you know, be so helpful for parents.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. So thank you for the work you're doing. Anyone that is listening into this, please do pop any questions into the comments box. You can see we've got someone here with so much experience, but so much just the toolkit to help you. So if you've got a nagging problem, you know, a burning question, yes, do go and find out more about the parent team. Find the course or the workshop that, you know, that is talking to you, but do also pop something into the comments box now. This is a way to get that, you know, that quick answer to something that might just be really sort of troubling you or one of your children. So look, you know, as you talked about, there's a business model. You know, this is a business, but it's a business with so much purpose, and I think so much, you know, wider benefit as well. So maybe you could talk about, you've talked about the challenges of, you know, what you and your, effectively your clients, your parents have gone through in the last year. Let's turn it on its head and hear about the rewards and about the rewarding aspect, what you've enjoyed in launching your own business.
Yeah, absolutely. So lot of hard work, but my colleagues I work with, I really like them. We're all absolutely passionate about what we do, and we get really excited when, you know, new research came out like yesterday. We get excited about the newest books from experts. So, you know, Robin Dunbar recently put out a big book on friendships, and I'm a very interested in friendships. They're so important to all of us, but really our children. But our children don't have the full toolkit to manage friendships very well. So, you know, and that was a 500-page tome, and I enjoyed every page of it. It was all research-based, or what his research showed. So we're very passionate, we're very like-minded, we get on really well. And I think the difference being able to run your own business is we can really produce the products that we think resonate with parents, and we can really keep them up to date research wise, all the latest findings, all the latest things that are happening. So we really like that. You know, we're working hard on our Instagram presence, because what we're trying to do with our Instagram is give people kind of daily tips, daily doses. You know, you learn something and then you can forget, but if you go into our Instagram, that one couple of sentences, you go, oh yeah, I remember, that's what I need to try and do. Look for the good, say something positive. And we're trying to provide an all-round service. So if you come and do a program with us, we're offering graduate sessions. So exactly like you're saying, if something comes up and you think, oh, I can't quite remember how to do this, you can come in and come to a graduate session very inexpensively and ask some questions. So that's been really rewarding. And of course, the reason that we all do it is when parents come to you and you work with them and they say, you've changed our life, you've changed our family. And I had quite a lot of clients emailing me over lockdown saying, we wouldn't be managing lockdown without you. You are the reason we're surviving, you know, because they know how to handle a child who's getting upset or anxious or bored. And, you know, that's what we want to do. We just want to help as many people as possible enjoy family life. So we always kind of say, you know, when at the end of everything, think about what you're going to put on your tombstone. And it may not be the bigger car, but it probably is the relationship with your family that will make a big difference. So that's what we get so much. That's the pleasure of running our own business, is being able to, you know, choose our own pathway and really help people do that.
Very well said, and I'm sure that will be resonating with huge amount of people listening in. So, I mean, you know, we work with a huge amount of people starting, growing, scaling their businesses. We've got our own conference next week, which is helping people to do that. So look, you've just most recently gone through that journey of launching. What advice would you give to someone thinking about taking that step? You know, what would be your sort of single biggest tip?
Be realistic. Be realistic that what we realize is there's so much we just didn't know. And so do things in little steps. It's just like parenting. Don't expect to get too much done too quickly. And whatever time you think it's going to take you to do, you probably double it. But reach out to your friends, colleagues in previous businesses, because we found that people have been incredibly generous with their time, their ideas, introducing us to relevant people. And so that's really helped us. So, and I think, you know, we are very realistic. We're all parents in our business. We all have to look at our own families and walk the walk, which means really thinking about our children, and we have to give time for that. So we're realistic, you know, the speed with which you can grow and scale a business.
Yeah, really, really. Well, I think advice there just ram full of common sense, and I think again will be really resonating with people. So, you know, so thank you, and we will look forward to seeing it evolve and grow. And it's already, I mean, it's already just really taking off. So, you know, I'd say come back in 12 months and tell us, you know, about the exciting journey and where you've got to so far. And I think just sort of just rewinding slightly to, you know, this has been a long and difficult year. So much disruption to schooling, to family life, you know, but here we are. It feels like the narrative has changed. It feels like, you know, we're embarking on a new academic year. We're looking to the future. Our horizons are expanding. Yes, I think we've all stopped saying a post-COVID world. We're now living with COVID. But you know, what advice can you share to parents, you know, as we embark on a new journey, a new year?
Yes. I think my sense is that everybody's quite busy at the moment as they return to life and, you know, social commitments and actually being able to go abroad on holiday, and all the children have gone back to having clubs. I think don't worry too much about the academics. As much as possible, you know, hopefully trust that your schools will have that covered. So children thrive in a calm environment. So even though life is unsure, you know, and there's still uncertainties, the more calm you can stay as a parent, the less your child has to be on edge. So take care of yourself. It's a bit like that when they say on the plane, you know, when the oxygen mask drop, put it on yourself first before your child. So as we come out of COVID, lots of parents are tired. I can tell you, I'm so sick of cooking. I'm so excited that I can go to the restaurants. But, you know, look after yourself after that period. You know, do some things for yourself that make you feel good and make you feel a bit more rested. Children don't need, what they need is pretty straightforward. So spend quality time with your children. So if you're able to do that in COVID and you got into the habit of family meals and going for walks at weekends, and try and keep that up. Don't let the new world that's just restarted, don't give up on the family meals and the time together, because that's what children really want. And this came out very clearly in this UK Child Commissioner's report. So, and a few really easy tips. It's very easy to notice what children do wrong. Yeah, I always say children are 24 years of mistake after mistake as their brains evolve. But when we can really focus on noticing what they do right, then that has a big impact into getting onto that positive cycle. And when they are struggling, as they go back to school, and particularly as they're re-engaging with friendships, just take the time to listen. And again, as parents, I think when our children come to us with a problem, we really want to fix it. Like, you know, my 16-year-old called me the other day, and she tried out for a drama play, and she was very excited about it, and she didn't get a good part. She definitely didn't get the part she wanted. She was very upset. And, you know, even me, with all my years of parenting expertise, you know, my emotional brain wanted to say, well, this is what you should do to fix it. Go talk to the drama teacher, do this, do that. Yeah. But actually, she just needed me to listen and say, that must have been so disappointing. I know how much you wanted that part. Of course you feel disappointed. And she just needed that listening. So if we can look for the best, if we can listen to them, and if we can spend some quality time with them, that will really help your relationship and help your child thrive. So, and you know, realize that parenting has been harder over COVID time, and you might have set up some negative loops. So come and get some help. I was laughing to myself, Sarah. We just got a brand new puppy just to add to the 4 children, and so you know, and the first week we had him, and he was biting and chewing and running around, and we're like, we don't know what we're doing, even though we'd bought various books. So I got a trainer in, and she's a super nice lady, very smiley, very calm, knew what she was doing, really straightforward tips, lots of rewarding, and it really made a big difference. And you know, our 17-week-old puppy now is adorable, still biting and chewing a bit, but what I realized was, you know, a few easy tips made all the difference, and that's what we do for parents, a few easy tips to make your life easier.
And that is a great analogy. And I think anyone that's, you know, got a puppy in their house understands exactly what you're talking about. You need to look out for that, find the right expertise, get access to those tips, and it's you know, and you have to work on it, as you say, but actually it can make all the difference, and to enter that positive cycle as opposed to, you know, staying, you know, being stuck in that rut, in that negative one. So look, just a couple more minutes left with you. What I want to do is just ask you to chat about the workshop we've got coming up with you. We're really excited to be partnering with Parent Team, and on the 17th of November, we're going to be running a workshop with you. So, so Jenny, for everyone watching now, and you know, obviously when we share this a bit later, tell us what it's going to be about, what they can expect, and you know, who's it for, and how can they book?
Okay, so it's going to be on 17th of November, 10:30, and it's going to be by Zoom. And we're going to do a workshop called Helping Children Thrive. It's our flagship workshop. And in that, we're going to cover 4 key areas. So we're going to start with the brain and brain development. Then we're going to look at this skill, descriptive praise, looking for the good. And what that does is really increase your child's self-esteem and their cooperation with you. Then we'll talk about a skill called emotion coaching, and that's how you listen actively and you help your child develop emotional regulation, and that can take a long time. And lastly, we'll talk about, rather than how as a parent you're reactive, things you can do to prepare in advance so your children are better prepared for difficult, new, or you know, challenging and new situations. So that's what we're going to cover. In terms of who's it aimed at, I can honestly say that our skills work kind of whether you've got a 3-year-old to a 20-year-old. I've worked across the range. You use the same skills at every age, with every age group. You just refine how you use them a little bit. So the words you use, how you phrase it, how much input you get from your child changes, but the underlying skill is still the same. So, and there'll be a really detailed handout so that when you listen to the workshop, hopefully really enjoy it. But you know, like all these things, it's difficult to keep all the information in your mind. So we provide a really detailed handout. So, you know, when a couple of weeks later you say, what was Jenny saying about looking for the best? You can go back and reread it.
Very good indeed. So anyone that's watching or knows someone they think would, you know, really benefit from that workshop, details will be going up on the Really Helpful Club website any day soon. We're obviously going to be sharing this on social, as will the Parent Team, and we hope to see as many of you as possible. And that, you know, this is again your chance to come with your challenges, to soak it up, and to, you know, to build that toolkit to make yours and, you know, your family life that much happier and easier. So my last question for you is, you know, look, you've done a huge amount in this year. You've achieved a huge amount. You've already launched, I think, with a real flourish. If you were coming back talking to us in, say, another 12, 18 months time, you know, what's your vision for, you know, for what next?
I think 12 to 18 months, we will have done a lot more school and nursery work, because the joy of going into schools and nurseries, whether it's in person or Zoom, is that you get to a lot of people in one go. And also it really helps join it helps kind of the parent community. So we definitely like to do that. And again, for corporates, that would be something we're aiming for. We will continue expanding our product range. And we are definitely going to go back to some in-person teaching. So, for instance, I've got a client who said, please, can you come and do a hosted workshop for me? So I'm going to go to her house and she's going to get 10 friends. And we're doing preparing for teenage years. So she's got a kind of 9-10-year-old. So I'm going to give them all the information they need to know what's coming up next. So and we will keep going with all our Zoom work, because what we've loved about the Zoom is a lot more dads have been able to join in, because you know, you don't need to get a babysitter, you don't need to travel somewhere. So we've loved that. And of course you can get to clients all around the world. So we've got clients in US, UAE, Switzerland, Chile, Germany. So we'll keep that going. So yeah, so I think it's really the expanding into the schools and nurseries, and just the more people that know us, the more people who can use word of mouth to tell people we're here. You know, we're hoping to really expand our database over the next year or so. So please, anybody out there, you know, who enjoyed listening or thinks I have an issue or thinks their friends have an issue, please let them know about us. And I just have to say, what I found from the puppy trainer is that a little bag with some bits of chicken in it does amazingly well for my puppy's behavior. But children, I don't think they'd respond so well to a bag of chicken bits. So, you know, learning a few skills, you know, such a positive, empowering thing to do.
Couldn't agree with you more. So exciting times ahead, plenty of opportunity, and plenty of opportunities for anyone watching to get involved and to help spread the word, but also to benefit from your services. Jenny, it's been a pleasure. I have written down, I'd say, almost a book of of comments, but I just want to sort of, you know, summarize with, I think, the sort of essence, the essence of your message and what you do is, you know, children thrive. Children thrive in a calm environment. Spend quality time with your children, and remember, a few easy parenting tips can leave your child feeling nourished, loved, supported, and happy, and help them to thrive. What more does any parent want? Jenny, thank you very much for your time, and thank you to everyone for joining us. As I say, we'll be sharing this on our different channels. Please share it onward, and we look forward to seeing you again, and look forward to seeing many of you at our workshop on the 17th of November. Jenny, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.